U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said that the White House may be ready to move on from efforts to reach a Russia-Ukraine peace deal if progress is not made in the coming days. Speaking in Paris after a marathon day of landmark talks among U.S., Ukrainian and European officials, Rubio said the discussions had been constructive.
What we're talking about here is avoiding thousands and thousands of people from dying over the next year. We're trying to avoid that. We saw what happened last weekend with a missile strike in Sumy, where people died on Palm Sunday. We're just going to see more like that on both sides. We're going to see more of that. We're trying to prevent it. But we're not going to continue to fly all over the world and do meeting after meeting after meeting if no progress is being made. So if they're serious about peace, either side or both, we want to help. If it's not going to happen, then we're just going to move on. We're going to move on to other topics that are equally, if not more important in some ways, to the United States.
The high-level talks in Paris on Thursday were the first time since Donald Trump's inauguration that top American, Ukrainian and European officials were known to have met to discuss an end to the war. French officials have said a new meeting in the same format is expected in London in the coming days.
Thank you so much.
A Russian attack on Ukraine's second-largest city of Kharkiv on Friday morning killed one person and injured at least 60 people, according to the State Emergency Service of Ukraine, which also released these images following the attack. Kharkiv Mayor Ihor Terekhov said that 20 apartment buildings and 30 private houses were damaged as a result of the strike. Terekhov added that strikes were carried out by ballistic missiles equipped with cluster munitions. Rescuers, psychologists, dog teams, the national police, medics, volunteers and the city's municipal services have been mobilized to help with the aftermath, local media reported. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni visited Washington to meet with US President Donald Trump. The meeting was described by both leaders as constructive and positive, with many points of agreement and a common understanding.
On trade.
Tariffs, defense and the ongoing war in Ukraine were among the discussed topics, and the pair agrees that the war must come to an end. But the Italian premier says the primary purpose of her trip is to push for continued Western unity. Trump called Meloni a great person and noted that if she continues in her capacity, Rome and Washington will be the best of allies. Meloni says she discussed trade with the US president after he recently imposed global tariffs on more than 160 countries. Tariffs have since been paused for 90 days after the market crashed, but Trump says he's confident about striking deals to mitigate the crisis, including one with Italy. Speaking of migration, Trump praised Meloni for her government stance, adding that the EU must, quote, get smart and manage the crisis more effectively.
They voted for Trump.
At least 23 Palestinians were killed in overnight strikes across Gaza as Israel continues its bombardment of the enclave. An attack on the southern city of Khan Yunis killed 10 people from the same family, including 5 children, 4 women and a man. Al-Nasser hospital officials who received the bodies say the victims all suffered from severe burns. At least 13 others were killed in strikes on the north of the Strip, including 9 children, according to medical professionals at the Indonesian hospital. The Israeli army says that its troops are also continuing their military operations in the south along the newly established Morak corridor, separating Khan Yunis from Rafah. The death toll in Gaza has now surpassed 51,000, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry. The UN is also warning of an imminent famine as it repeatedly sounds the alarm over Israel's 6-week-old blockade on Gaza.
Taiwanese lawmakers promised to enhance ties with America as a bipartisan delegation of US politicians touched down in Taipei. It is the first official delegation by the new American administration. President Trump had previously accused Taiwan of undermining America's semiconductor industry.
The United States can continue something that began under the previous administration and is extending under this administration and has strong bipartisan support, which is connecting Taiwan, the Philippines, Japan, Australia, Korea, weaving together regional partners and allies.
Taiwan has pledged to boost defense spending to 3% of GDP amid growing geopolitical tensions with China.